So it is important for women to know how to calculate their safe and unsafe days in order to know when to have sexual intercourse to become pregnant, to plan for their next child, and most importantly, to prevent unwanted pregnancies. So if that is the content that you love to listen to, stick around. Welcome back, and if you're new to this channel, welcome to my ever-growing family. I'm called Tabiramu Samantha, and I'm a registered nurse. On this channel, I share everything about health, nursing, lifestyle, and fun vlogs. And if that is the content that you'd love to listen to, do not forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on anything that I post. In today's video, we are going to learn how to correctly calculate our safe and unsafe days, basically your fertile period. First things first, you have to know your menstrual cycle. And I already made a video on this. So if you haven't watched it yet, please go watch my video and know how to calculate your menstrual cycle, because you need to know your menstrual cycle in order to calculate your safe days and safe days, ovulation, and basically that. So a small recap, we said when you're calculating your menstrual cycle, you look at the first day that you see your menses and the day before your next menses. So those are the days you consider when calculating your menstrual cycle. And this is very useful in women that have regular periods, because you just keep on monitoring the first day that you have your menses and the day before your next period. However, we say that people with irregular menses, you have to monitor your periods for at least 6 months, and then you get the average of those months, and the average that you get, that is your menstrual cycle. However, you have to continue monitoring so that you see that that is the right menstrual cycle. So the menstrual cycle is divided into two phases, the follicular phase and the luteal phase. However, you have to take note of the variations. The follicular phase keeps on varying according to the length of the menstrual cycle. However, the luteal phase is a constant of 14 days. Also, something that you have to take note of is your menstrual cycle. If the menstrual cycle is long, your follicular phase is going to be longer. And if your menstrual cycle is shorter, your follicular phase is also going to be shorter. You have to keep note that only the luteal phase remains constant, and this is true for every lady. And once ovulation has occurred, it takes 14 days for the next menses to occur. We all know that ovulation is when the egg is released and should be fertilized by the sperm. If that does not happen, then menses are going to happen. So how do you know your ovulation day? That is why I said it is very important for you to know your menstrual cycle length, because you can get your menstrual cycle 28, 30, 27, 26 minus 14 days. Remember, we say that the luteal phase is a constant of 14 days. So do not get surprised where I get the 14 days. Just get your menstrual cycle minus 14 days, and then you get your ovulation day. So here I'm going to show you an example. We can get a 30-day minus 14, we get 16. So your ovulation is on the 16th day. That is when your ovum is going to be fertilized by the sperm, most likely. 28 days minus 14, you get 14th. So 14th is your ovulation day. What you should all know that the sperm is viable or can survive in the female reproductive tract for 5 days. So we take 5 days before our ovulation day, and the egg or the ovum can survive or is viable for at least 12 to 24 hours in the female reproductive tract. So to calculate your unsafe days, you have to get 5 days before your ovulation, and some people take 2 or 3, but I would prefer you take 5 days after the ovulation, because sometimes there is change in the hormones, sometimes maybe the body is misbehaving. So it is better to take the 5 days, because there is a slim chance that you may get pregnant, but you cannot rule that out. So to be on the safe side, just take 5 days before your ovulation and 5 days after your ovulation, even if you have said that the egg survives for at least 12 to 24 hours, and there are rarely or slim chances of it conceiving. But it's better to be safer than to try something and then you say, oh, that thing doesn't work. So that's what I would prefer: 5 days before ovulation and 5 days after the ovulation, because of the different circumstances, I don't know, this is a changing world, so different hormones, different medicines we are taking, anything can affect our bodies. It is better to be safer. So we have already seen how to calculate our ovulation. Now I'm going to use the 28-day cycle in order to show you how to calculate your safe and unsafe days. We already know that in the 28-day cycle length, our 14th day is our ovulation day. And we also know that the sperm stay in the female reproductive tract for 5 days. So you get your ovulation day minus 5 days, you get 9. From the 9th to the 14th day are your most fertile days. And if anyone has sexual intercourse within those days, the sperm will be viable to fertilize the ovum, which will be released around the 14th day. Don't forget that the viability of the ovum is up to 24 hours after ovulation. So I would prefer you add 5 days to the 14th day to cater for any hormonal changes. So between 14th to the 19th day, if you're not planning on conceiving, you should avoid sexual intercourse. And then from the 9th to the 19th day, these are the days that you should avoid intercourse if you're not planning on conceiving. However, if you plan on becoming pregnant, these are the days that you should actually keep note of. The safe days are the ones that I have left outside of the cycle length. So from the 1st to the 8th day, then from the 20th to the 28th days, those are your safe days in your cycle. I hope now you have learned how to get your ovulation, your safe and the unsafe days. So let us look at people who have shorter cycles, menstrual cycles. I'll give an example in my next clip, but let me talk about it here. Have you heard of people saying that they conceived when they were in their periods? Yeah, those ones. So people feel like when they are bleeding or when they're having their menses, it is safer to have sex because they cannot conceive. Well, if you have a longer menstrual cycle, it is safe. However, if you have a shorter cycle, you are going to conceive when you're in your menses because ovulation is also taking place. So I personally would prefer or would advise someone to use protection if they're in their menses and are going to have sex, or to wait for your menses to get done and have your sex. But if you can't wait, you can use protection, because if you've been following your menstrual cycle and you know that you have a shorter cycle, I think it would be safer to protect yourself. So if someone has a 21-day cycle, we start with our ovulation where we say 21 minus 14, you get 7th. So on the 7th day is their day of ovulation. 7th minus 5. Remember we said we get 5 days before ovulation. So we are getting a second. Second, remember someone is bleeding maybe from the 1st to the 4th, or 1st to the 3rd, 1st to the 5th, and they're also now ovulating at the same time as they are having their menses. So you also get 7 plus 5, because we also said you get 5 days after your ovulation, which gives us 12. So this person is going to be having their unsafe days from the 2nd to the 12th of their cycle, which means that their cycle is very, very short. So people with short menstrual cycles or length have to be very, very careful, because most times you are bleeding as you're also ovulating. So these are the people that are going to come to tell you that how can I become pregnant when I was having my menstruation, or when I was bleeding or having my menses, I cannot be pregnant. Well, you can be pregnant if you have a shorter cycle, because at the same time you're ovulating. So this mentality that you are in your menses and you're safe, you can't become pregnant, is not true. All said and done, if you've been using this method for a long period of time correctly and you're not seeing any results, please visit your gynecologist, because it could be other health issues why you're not conceiving. It could be maybe the quality of the egg and maybe of the sperms. So visit as a couple, because there are tests that are done on both male and female, so we can find out if it's either partners who has a problem, maybe your partner has an issue and it is solved, than blaming each other why you're not conceiving. I have explained this in the simplest way possible, but if you have any questions you want to ask me, drop them in the comment section. I'll gladly answer them. I'll gladly guide you if you have any questions. Don't forget to like, share this video if you found it informative with your ladies, with your friends, with your family members, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in my next. Have a good one.